Hello, my name is Madeline Cole, and this is my submission for the week 3 and 4 assignment. So to start off, I wrote most of the questions from the assignment in the code just so I could follow along and see the questions while I was coding. So first, I needed to create an array of ints called ages, and I did that right here. So for question 1A, it asks to pragmatically subtract the values of the first element in the array from the value of the last element in the array. And I also added this in here so I could see where my questions were printing down here, just follow along a little bit better. So I created this line of code right here to do what question 1A was asking. It's taking the first element and subtracting it from the last element. So we'll run that. And there we go. Question 1A is 90. Took 93 minus 3. All right. So for question 1B, it asks to add a new age to your array and repeat the step above to ensure it is dynamic. So I added 95 to the end of my array, and I did the same thing. I took the last element and subtracted it from the first element. So 95 minus 3 is 92. And question 1C, it says to use a loop to iterate through the array and calculate the average ages. Print the result to the console. So here's my code for that. And I wasn't too sure on this part if I should have used a double or an int to show the average of the ages, just because you can't really have a decimal in your age. But there is my answer for 1C. Question 2 says to create an array of string called names that contains the following values. And I have that here. My array of string is Sam, Tommy, Tim, Sally, Buck, and Bob. Question 2A is asking us to use a loop to iterate through the array and calculate the average number of letters per name and to print the result to the console. So here is my code for that question. I'm using the typical for loop in order to execute this code. And there is the answer for 2A. The average number of letters in the array is 3. I also added that just to show more. Question 2B asks us to use a loop to iterate through the array again and concatenate all the names together separated by spaces and print the result to the console. So here we use this specific line of code to concatenate. And this is my result for 2B. Sam, Tommy, Tim, Sally, Buck, and Bob. Question 3, how do you access the last element of an array? And you access the last element of an array by entering array name, the brackets array name dot length -1. Question 4, how do you access the first element of an array? And to access the first element of an array, you enter array name starting at 0. Question 5, create a new array of int called name lengths. Write a loop to iterate over the previously created names array and add the length of each name to the name lengths array. And here is my code for that question. Question 6, write a loop to iterate over the name lengths array and calculate the sum of all the elements in the array. Print the result to the console. And we get 23. So question 7, we don't print out anything here, but it asks us to write a method that takes a string word and an int n as arguments and returns the word concatenated to itself n number of times. So if I were to enter hello here, like it's giving us an example up here, and a specific number of times, like 3 times, it would run through this loop right here to be able to run hello 3 times to concatenate it. Question 8, write a method that takes 2 strings, first name and last name, and returns the full name. The full name should be the first and the last name as a string separated by a space. So here's my method for that. So here's the 2 strings, first name, last name, and it will return the full name because full name equals first name with the space and the last name. Question 9, write a method that takes an array of int and returns the value if the sum of all the ints in the array is greater than 100. Here's my array for that method. I used a for loop and then if else statements. So it will run through the array and only print out numbers or print out ints in the array that are greater than 100. Question 10, write a method that takes an array of double and returns the average of all the elements in the array. So here's my method to be able to do that. It's taking an array of double and it will return the average of all the elements in the array. Question 11, write a method that takes 2 arrays of double and returns true if the average of the element in the first array is greater than the average of the element in the second array. So we're going to use a Boolean for true or false statements. So this is my method for that question. It will run through a couple of loops in order to execute this code, and it will return true if the average of the element in the first array is greater than the average of the element in the second array. Question 12, write a method called will by drink that takes a Boolean is hot outside and a double of money in pocket and returns true. Return true if it is hot outside and if money in pocket is greater than 1050. So we have the loop right here. Variable is hot outside, it has to equal true, and money in pocket has to be greater than 1050. If that's the case, it'll return true. If not, else it'll return false. And question 13, create a method of your own that solves a problem. In comments, write what the method does and why you created it. So I kind of copied the method up here. I used a Boolean as well to determine if you're able to get coffee in the morning, depending on how much money you have on a gift card, and if you have no coffee at home. So if the money on the gift card is greater than $7.50 and you have no coffee at home, if that statement is true, then it will return true, else it will return false. I wrote this code because I like getting Starbucks on my way to work in the mornings, and I was given gift cards this last Christmas and to fund my addiction. So there is all of my work for this week's assignment. Thank you.